trying to get you off my mind. I can see the signs, gone and got it on the side. Thought you were being sly, thought I'd never catch your line. Trying to keep it in, I can see it in your eyes. Go with the in you, still pretending that we're cool. Something on your cheek, then that's strange, it's true. Trying to be a man, trying to be a man.
So I want to take a few minutes and talk about ginger and turmeric. These are kind of like squares and rectangles, very, very closely related. They have many similar medicinal properties as well. One of the reasons I love them in Florida is they love neglect. In fact, if you like your turmeric too much, it will die. I promise you it will die. If you water it, it will die. If you fertilize it, it will die. If you look at it and talk to it like I do all my other plants, it will die. They love literally in the next week or so, bury them about that deep in the ground, cover them with wood chips in the shade and walk away and come back and visit them in like January, February. So they just really thrive on neglect. Some people grow them in full sun. I find that I get bigger tubers, which is why I grow them in full shade. The flowers of them are beautiful. They're very reminiscent to a bromeliad. So when you look at gingers and turmerics, medicinally, very similar medicinally. They're very good anti-inflammatory, especially the turmerics have a constituent called curcumin, which is what is the anti-inflammatory mechanism. Ginger does have it as well, so the look of them is very similar. The major differentiation, most gingers are going to have one central stalk with sets of leaves that come off of one central stalk. Most turmeric are going to have leaves almost like banana leaves. So they're going to be a lot bigger and wider. So not all turmerics are gingers, but not all gingers are turmerics, but all turmerics are not gingers. So flavor-wise, if you've ever tried ginger and turmeric back to back, very similar. It's got that slightly spicy, very earthy, but medicinally, what I think is interesting, the different varieties address different parts of the body. Which I just think is so interesting. All of them are good for gut health. Anything stomach, bowels, small intestine, large intestine, it's all gonna be good for that. Now, I'm saying this both as a plant nerd because I love the plant aspect. I am also a master herbalist. So if you are choosing to incorporate this into your diet, I always defer to a family care physician, whoever your primary is. If you are on Coumadin, Warfarin, or any other heart medication, always double check with them before adding something new into your diet. That being said, would I put that into my diet? You know, I'll let you be the judge of that. So I can't tell you what to add in, but I would encourage you that food is wonderful as medicine if we use it correctly. I don't think we have to be as scared of plants as sometimes we are. There's a lot of plants that we use on the day-to-day or monthly basis. Parts of those plants are crazy poisonous. If you go up to a tomato plant and eat those greens, you are going to be sick very, very quickly. A lot of the belladonnas and the nightshade family, very poisonous leaves. But the fruit, when they're ripe, is delicious. Now, even green tomatoes, if you eat them too soon without frying them, you're gonna get sick. So I don't think we need to be afraid of plant medicine, but I do think it's important to be wise when we introduce something new to our diet. No matter how the greenhouse tries to sell it to you, always just double check with your family care physician. Now, what they're never gonna do is say, this is gonna cure you of fibromyalgia, polymyalgia, arthritis, cancer. They're never gonna say that. The question to ask them is, are there any contraindications, any interactions with the medications that I'm currently taking? No, there's not. Okay, then it's safe for me to add into my diet. If you have an interaction, now that's something to really consider. So what I want to do is kind of go through some of these ginger and turmeric so you can see some of the differences in them. I'm going to cut a couple of them open and put them on here, and we're going to do a very brief tutorial on how to make tinctures. I also very embarrassingly realized that I had the Captain Morgan for the tinctures sitting on my counter when I brought you in earlier with zero explanation. So
I saw it in the tincture. I was like, oh, he's making an extract.
Good for you. I walked in.
You drink grapes.
I do drink grapes. I actually can't drink hard liquor at all. Like, I don't like hard liquor. or wine or beer at all. I don't like either of them. Wine all day long, every day, but that's the only one that's an everyday. So gingers and turmerics. I'm only going to show you real quickly the orange because that's the one that we're all familiar with. So the orange turmeric, grows really well, really easily. I think it's highly overrated. They do have a real pretty, color. This is nothing new. You've seen this in the grocery stores. This is a really good general all-purpose anti-inflammatory. So if it's the most readily available. If you're buying this, don't go to a greenhouse and buy it. Go to the greenhouse and buy the specialty stuff. Go to an Asian market and get it in bulk. Even my green and my spicy here, I got at the Latte International Market or the Latte Plaza Market. The spelling is L-O-T-T-E Plaza Market on John Young 50 and John Young and 50 on the corner there, and they have these so cheap. Like the spicy one, you can get a whole pack of the spicy turmeric for $3. If you buy one root at a local greenhouse, which I will not name greenhouses, it is $35 for one root. So there's a lot of ways to cut these corners. So when I first started getting these varieties, I'm not eating any of them. They're all going in the ground for propagation for at least 1 year. The second year, I'll enjoy a couple, but I'm planting most. By year 3, you have gobs. I started with a thumb-sized piece of all of these varieties 4 years ago. Last year, my ginger and turmeric harvest was about 35 pounds, and I'm still harvesting this year, so I don't know what I'm at this year. So it does happen really quickly. You do get a lot of bang for your buck. So kind of coming through some of these, this one here I'm not going to cut open because it's white on the inside. This one in Hawaii is called apahui or shampoo ginger. The flavor of the root is kind of like shampoo. It's not one that I'm going to be using for culinary purposes. There's other better ones for medicinal purposes. The reason why I like shampoo ginger is it grows this cone-shaped flower. And the moment it starts to turn orange and red, if you lean the cone over, I literally bring my loofah outside and squeeze it into the loofah, this gel will come out and it is shampoo. And it's great for eczema, for psoriasis, for peeling skin. If you've had skin cancer, it's something that you might consider, but really good for shampoo.
Mostly benefit from
the flower above the ground. And I don't cut the flower off because why would you waste it? So literally just lean it over and squeeze it. 2 days later, it's refreshed and you start all over again. There's a spa that I went to downtown Orlando a couple years ago before I realized you could grow this here. And it's $35 for a squeeze of shampoo ginger is how much they charge at these spas because there's so many incredible health benefits and it grows great in full shade. It does get tall. So shampoo ginger, think like this. And if you plant one plant, the mass in 3 years will be about like yay big. Does anybody not have shampoo ginger growing yet?
I don't know.
That wants it? Okay.
Chris, how long? I'm sorry. I was gonna say that grows really out of control because like I planted probably like 2 pounds, and in 4 years I harvested half the bed and it was 150 pounds.
Yeah.
So when you plant
Spreads.
it, it stays in the bed that you planted in. You just harvest it as you need.
Yep.
And then it just keeps.
And when it gets too much, you pull up a couple of the roots, put it on Facebook Marketplace or one of the seed swap things and say, looking for loquat tree, will trade shampoo ginger. And you'll find people to trade for it. We even do monthly plant swaps here as well.
How long does that keep? If you squeeze it?
Good question. It does not store more than 24 hours. The way to do it though is if get an ice cube tray, squeeze it into the ice cube tray, and then freeze it and crack them into a bag, and it'll last for 2 years in the freezer. So that's the way to store it. But you cannot store it with alcohol because that will stop the sudsing action. But the way to do it is just ice cube tray, and then obviously thaw it before you take it in the shower. Otherwise, you'll be, Wim Hofing and doing the cold plunges or whatever. So the next one, because I do want to be sensitive to your time. And if you do have to leave at 5:30 and I'm still rambling, you are welcome to leave and I won't judge you very much. So the next one is spicy turmeric. If you want the botanical names, I can give you those all later, but I'm not going to bore you with Latin. So spicy turmeric is the one that is best before, during, or after chemotherapy. It has less of the blood thinning properties, but it still has an incredible amount of the curcumins. The color on the inside of this one is green, but as it oxidizes, it'll get to be a little bit blue as it oxidizes. So it's got this kind of chartreuse green kind of color to it. You can already see it just barely starting to turn blue. It'll get mostly blue after about 2 to 3 hours. It'll be mostly blue. And
What's the name of that one again?
this one is the spicy turmeric, and it's Curcuma zetoaria. And so this one is the one that a lot of greenhouses are selling as green turmeric because it looks so similar. Green turmeric does not oxidize blue, though, so that's one of the ways to tell the difference. But it's a great one before, during, or after chemotherapy. So anybody that's dealing with that type of, of an issue with the C word, that's usually the ones that I would recommend, would be the spicy.
Will you save one for me? My sister's going back in from work.
Oh, yeah.
How would they?
Does anybody else have a cancer fighter in the family?
I don't have a friend right now that's fighting.
Great. And I would use this as rootstock and just plant it and, good to go. So that's the spicy. The next one is green turmeric. Green turmeric, very similar on the inside, but after a couple hours, this will be mostly blue, and the green turmeric is going to be still mostly green. But right now, they look very similar. I mean, almost identical. But after several hours, the color differences will come into play. Green turmeric is really good for all things inflammation of the head, neck, and shoulders. So think migraine headaches, anxiety, stress. That's all of the anger issues, that also cause inflammation because your cortisol levels increase. This is a really good one for inflammation and pain, up here around the neck, especially like those cluster headaches, people that get those, the C shape around the back of the head. That one is really useful. That one's Curcuma longa. The next one is my favorite for culinary. It's mango ginger, and it tastes exactly like it sounds. This one I'm not going to cut open because I don't have a lot of this one. Is anybody a chef or really loves to cook? Loves to cook. So why don't you take the mango ginger home? Think chicken and basmati rice. It's like, I'm talking, it's just real good. It's just real good. So that one is my favorite for that. It doesn't have as much of a medicinal punch as these guys here. It's going to be more along the lines of the orange as far as its curcumin levels, but the flavor, it's definitely my favorite for that.
And what color is that one inside?
That one's like a white with a slight yellow to it. A little bit of yellow. Cardamom I'm gonna skip. The next one is blue turmeric. Now this is the one, the last couple years, a lot of greenhouses, this little root in a pot is about $45 at a greenhouse. I'm talking every one of the greenhouses I bought this from in Central Florida, they had it labeled for a few years as black, and it was not black. It was absolutely the blue. It's Curcuma cacea. So the way that you can tell on these is these ones will have more fingers coming out from the roots versus a true black is going to have this massive bulbous thing here with a lot of little hangy doodles down the side. The root structures of them are totally different. So the blue, this is a blue or black. Now blue is easier to get a hold of. The black is almost impossible to get a hold of.
What was that one?
That one is the black turmeric.
That's what I have. When I thought I don't know what, I got it at Natural.
There you go.
But that's what it ended up doing. That's
Okay,
black.
yep, that is probably one of the true black. So the blue and the black have about 5 times the curcumin levels or anti-inflammatories of any other ginger and turmeric in the world. This is by far, in nature, I don't know of anything higher as far as its anti-inflammatory properties. The inside color I just think is absolutely stunning. It's got this beautiful kind of yellow with the purple on the side, and this will get more and more blue and purple as it oxidizes with the air. So this is just really beautiful medicinally. There is one company that I know of called Tierra Botanicals based out of Orlando. It's the only company I know of in the US that will make the blue tinctures out of them. It's about $20 for a 1 ounce bottle of the tincture, but a little bit goes a long ways. So this is, if somebody has the C word, not COVID, that's probably what I'm going to recommend, that one or the black. The black is very similar in its medicinal properties because it has those really, really high 5 times the curcumin levels, but it's very, very hard to get a hold of. So this one actually got 1 tuber 2.5 years ago, and a friend of mine is a botanist in Hawaii, and I had sent him samples of these to make sure they were what they said they were, because I was so sick of greenhouses telling me what it was and it was not what they said it was. So this one I got 1 start. It cost me $170 for that start, but I've had 5 trays like this. It was the right one. I've had 5 trays of this, and this is by far the most medicinal anti-inflammatory one that exists on the planet. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. There is a myth in the greenhouse world. Greenhouses will always tell you that you cannot grow ginger and turmeric from these little things. They're called water capsules. You actually can. So I've tried it the last 2 years because everybody kept telling me, you can't do it, you can't do it. It's worked 100% for me the last 2 years. So I would still give it a shot. I'm still planting them. The worst case scenario is you composted it in the ground in place, but I think the local greenhouses are wrong. I hate to say it. So that to me is my absolute favorite, is this one here. And the last one that we'll talk about today, and then we'll make some tinctures. This one is the Greater Galangal. This one is like all the flavors of Indian food and curry in a root. And what I love about the Greater Galangal is this one, the inside is white. It's just not fancy at all. This will grow about 12 to 15 feet tall, and it looks like bamboo. So in a full shade area underneath the canopy of an oak tree, if you've got an area that's full shade, you want a beautiful privacy fence, you don't want to risk bamboo, or you want something easier, I think Greater Galangal is absolutely fantastic for that. Cows will eat it, goats will eat it, horses will eat it, everybody will eat it. The flower on them is real pretty. They get like a shell ginger style flower, and they smell like ginger. So it's a beautiful, beautiful smelling one. The one that I give an honorable mention to that I don't have here, but I showed you earlier today at the beginning of the food forest, is called spiral ginger. That one, technically you can eat the root. I think it tastes terrible. The best part of the spiral ginger is if you want to look it up on your phones, just type in spiral ginger. They get these little like turtle head flowers. Every day a new one emerges off of a central cone. It'll get a new turtle head every day, and they taste like ginger snaps. It's my favorite spring and early summer snack in the garden, because you literally just walk around and you can just eat them, and they're so good on a salad. Like an Asian salad is like really, really nice. There's also a variegated one. I'm gonna have to show you pictures because it's like show and tell time. These ones love, again, full shade, but the flowers are like these little like torches, I feel like. Well, I'll show you the spiral ginger first, because they grow, you've already seen it, but they grow in that corkscrew, kind of shape with that variegation. And it's kind of hard to get the visual interest as much when it's full shade, and you want that little pop in the shade. And I think that's definitely the way to do it. The flowers kind of look like this. You get a central cone and this little turtle head that comes out, and the little turtle head is the only thing that you eat. Sorry about the weird description, but that's what it looks like to me. Looks like a little turtle head, and they're like a really juicy ginger snap, and kids love them. Even kids that don't like ginger flavor, because they're so mild and they're so sweet and nectary, they're really, really, really yummy. So those are the gingers and turmerics.